Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Path to 1 Million. My name is Cliff Duvenois, and these are the stories that chronicle my journey to impact 1 million people. Hello on this wonderful, beautiful, happy morning. Well, at least it's beautiful here in Long Beach, California. So today what I want to talk to you about is the PDF that's part of the LinkedIn project that I've been working on, and the topic of scratching your own itch. Many moons ago, I was getting really big into the Robert Kiyosaki books. And I know I've talked about this before. His first book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I remember reading that and how it impacted my life, how it changed my thinking, kind of how it reframed how I thought about finances and just investing in general. And it actually ignited my passion for real estate and for building businesses. And it got me all excited about doing it. And I realized that, when I got done with the book and I felt like really super good and stuff, I went out and I bought his second book, which is called Cash Flow Quadrant. Went out and bought that book, consumed it. And once again, it was one of those books that just like really impacted me. And I thought, wow, this guy really understands how I think. One of the things that he talked about in there was the fact that there's 4 separate quadrants that people exist in. You're an employee, you're either self-employed, you're a business owner, or you are an investor. And so at that particular time, I really thought I was a business owner, and come to find out I was just self-employed. But the thing is with self-employed is he was talking about how, the only way that you can make more money is by working harder, working more hours, and that eventually leads to burnout. And there was a whole series of things that he came up with. Like, it was like really good stuff. And I'm like, wow, this guy's really preaching to me, And, he obviously makes the case that you want to be a business owner, have other people work for you, as well as, be an investor and have your money work for you. And both of those concepts I thought were like really good. But the one thing that as I was starting to read his books and getting more involved with his books, and there was a game that he put out there that was called Cash Flow, and my friends and I would get together and play it, and it was a lot of fun, and I was learning things, and I was getting better at this game, and I was reading his books. But the one thing that kind of was like disappointing me was that there was like no real like clear path on how to get started, like what to do, what direction do I go, how do I get started, how do I even buy my first piece of real estate, how do I calculate cash flow, how do I do this, how do I do that. And, way back in the day, the internet was in its infancy. So there wasn't, at that point in time anyways, there wasn't Google. There was kind of sort of Yahoo on the scene, but I wasn't liking Yahoo as a search engine because every time I would do a search, I would just get websites that wanted me to buy stuff. There was no real information. And I just remember that, for me, just to get started, it was like really struggling. And it was just super, super disappointing because these books were coming out and he was turning out books like crazy at the time. And, people were, buying the books and, talking, oh my God, his latest book was so good, and I stopped buying his books because every time that I would get a book, it was like, he would do something, I'd get a little bit motivated, I'd get excited, but then that motivation would peter out because there was no real like roadmap. Like, hey, if you want to get started investing in real estate, these are what you need to think about. These are some formulas that you need to use. This is things you need to do. And so I realized, of course, that probably a lot of his education was just getting people motivated and excited to buy their next book. And, so I just kind of stopped, getting into that whole scene altogether. But it planted that seed in my head. Like, if I was going to read a book that was written by somebody and they actually talked about how to do XYZ or how to accomplish XYZ, I expect there to be something in there that I can use, that I can apply in my life. If I'm going to shell out $10 for a book or whatever it is, then it would be nice if I could do it. And I read these books, and these guys do, and that's a lot of them do that. If you take a look at something called a value ladder, which is like where you get your customer to do one thing at a time, and you get them to spend a little bit more money with you, when you go. A lot of people will recommend that you start off with a book because a book establishes you as an expert, in your field. So, I would go out and I would buy these books from any number of people, but man, every single time it was always the same. It was always like I'd read the book, they would make an argument like oh, you should do this, but there was nothing actionable in there. There was nothing that I could actually like take away and apply in my life to make a difference, because to me that seems to be more of an effective selling tool. If this guy is willing to give away good, solid information for free to tell me how to do it, I go out and apply it. And if I see that success, it's going to be more likely to go out and buy his next product, right? Because like, okay, I've seen this success, I've done this, now I'm ready to move forward. So one of the things that for this LinkedIn course that they were talking about, when you design something, just give it away. And the one argument that they made when I was watching the videos that really struck me, really resonated with me, was when they actually said in the video, they were like, tell people how to do it. Just tell them how to do it. Take your most valuable secret that you have and just, give it away for free. And I just remember thinking to myself, wow, that's really powerful, a different way of thinking. Because a lot of people, what they do is they'll hide that secret from you, and they'll say, oh, well, to get access to this big secret, you need to pay me like $1,000 a month or something along that lines. But what if you inverted that model? If you told people, like, this is the secret that you need to do, and if they can figure it out on their own, that's great. Because I'm more interested in impacting a million people and having a positive impact. Even if they get my free PDF, that's what I want to do. Is I want them to read it and be able to say, you know what, this PDF actually helped me out. I'm not interested in any of his other products, but I am interested in this PDF, and it did accomplish X, Y, and Z. And I actually had a few people write me back and say that they were applying some of the principles in my free PDF, and it was working for them. Great. That's cool, because that's exactly what I want to do. Is I want to impact them. So, when I designed the free PDF book, and I know it's showing up as a mirror, but when I designed it, literally, it was going through and scratching my own itch. Like, what would I need to do to get started with marketing on LinkedIn? And so you notice here, like in some of the pages that I've written, I mean, this is like solid text, right? This is like all actionable stuff, checklist, everything else. But this really here is the itch that I scratched. Because some of the ebooks that I've gotten over the years, and trust me, I've got a ton of them, and they sit there and say, oh, learn the secrets of this, or, learn the marketing tactics of this, or whatever it is. Typically, the page would look something, whereas there would be like some text like in the center, and then they would have all these images going around the outside. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, how can you say this is a 20-page ebook full of great information if you only have like maybe 10 words in the center of the page? If you just take those words and boil it down, you might get one page. I would rather get a one-page PDF that's information dense versus 20 pages that are just full of like images. And most of the time, the images barely have anything to do with the text that's on the page. But the thing is like so many people churn out ebooks like crazy that are making so many promises that really the value of ebooks really has gone downhill. So you kind of really have to like step out, step beyond, really talk about, the contents of the book to actually get people to say, you know what, I will give you my email. Once again, this, something here was something that I designed that said, okay, if I know what the book is and I know what the content can deliver and I know that it's getting good results, this is something that I would gladly give up my email address for because it's for free. Because as I said before, when you start off with something for free, you are actually setting the stage for every level of interaction after that, whether it's you're building a business or whether you're dealing with potential customers, but that initial impression, the initial interaction that you have with them sets the stage for everything. So why not set the standard high? Why not raise that bar and be the standard by which others are judged, rather than have you be judged by others? Anyways, just wanted to share that note with you on this wonderful Monday morning. I hope that you guys are all doing well and that you had a great weekend and that you're rested and ready for the week. I happen to love Mondays because Mondays is when all the exciting stuff happens. Anyways, I will catch you tomorrow with another story. Have a good day, and I'll see you mañana.